everyone, and welcome to the Changemakers podcast, where we chat with interesting and engaging individuals here and far about change, making change, living change in their own lives, how they've experienced unimaginable change, and innovative ways people uplift the lives of others. We chat about triumphs over tragedies, mindset matters, and how we live out our life's purpose inspirationally. So please join us to be inspired and empowered to be the change you want to see in this world. You know, we can all be change makers in our lives. Here's to the change you're about to bring forth. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Changemakers podcast, where we create bold careers and lives. I could not be more excited to welcome my good friend and colleague, Tonia Morris, who is doing fabulous work in this space of change makers and making change in her world through Transition Enterprises. So good morning, Tonia. How are you?
I am absolutely wonderful this morning. Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you. So thank you for setting aside this time to come and chat with me and to kind of kibitz, because it sounds like you and I are on a lot of the same pages when it comes around the topic and the feeling and philosophy around making change for bettering our lives and our world.
Absolutely, we are, and I'm excited, especially with this new decade. I am so excited.
We're the things we're going to see. So share with our listeners, to start us off, Tonia, a little bit about yourself and a few insights into your personal journey.
Well, good. I'm glad you asked that question. You know, I am a 27-year veteran in human resource profession. I spent many years in different industries and had a lot of level of success, However, it came to a point when I had a turning point in my life where I wanted something different and didn't quite know what that was. So I was curious. That's why I love to be curious about what's next for me, because I really, raised my children, and I really want, in our life, we've been told to go to school, get a good job, and everything was going to be okay. But no one ever told you about pursuing your dreams. And oftentimes we do what we do, but we never have an opportunity to really sit back and say, well, who am I and what is it that I want? All of our life, we've been mothers, we've been best friends, we've been employees, we've been executive, we've been all of those things, but we never really been our true self. So I went on a quest of searching what was next for me. And when I transitioned out of the workplace, because I really had a passion of helping women with the same idea as what's next, because sometimes we get so stuck, and I believe what got us here cannot keep us here. Yes. And so that's where my journey started, because I really want women, and for me, to live the life that I crave, and whatever that is, you can design it. And that's where we're at today.
That is fabulous. What a luxury and a privilege that you even have tapped into that about yourself. Because I'm sure we know too many people, women, professional women, highly capable, highly accomplished, but that they are, I'm carefully using the word beaten down by life, or the life that they lead and all the obligations and responsibilities that they have, that they don't even make space for themselves to even take the time.
Absolutely.
Would you talk about that a little bit more, and how you see that in your work?
Well, a lot of women are pulled, like you said, in so many different directions. You hear a lot about self-care, but behind it, and self-care is so important, but I want to care about what it is that I want to do. I want to make an impact. And I believe that we focus on so much on our skills, but what about our gifts? And I know we are taught to go to school and work for people and provide our skills, but I think your gift will make room for you. And so I had an aha moment when I was working at an organization. I was executive director of human resources. They had a lot of success, great pay, all that stuff on the outside looks so great. but I was dying inside. And I can remember an employee coming to me and said, Miss Tonia, something's not right with you. I was not even moving the same. When I say moving, walking, I mean, I was just like in a daze. And I would cry out and say, what is next? I knew something was next, especially when I had turned, in 50. I'm like, I know something is next for me. And so I went on a quest to figure out what is it, that I wanted to do. And I really did an inventory of my skills. Then I also did an inventory of my gifts, and my gifts really made me happy. And so I made a commitment to myself. That's the first thing we do. I made a commitment to myself. I get to choose the next chapter of my life. I'm going to say that again. I get to choose the next chapter of my life. Now there's a process with that, but it comes with making a decision that, and I always say this to my clients, I want out. And so when I decided that I was going to go on this quest of getting out, I did some preparation, but I always tell the story how I had an aha moment in my closet. In my closet, I have a walk-in closet, and I stood in my closet and I looked at all the suits and all the shirts and all the slacks and all the stuff that I was told to be professional and be powerful, right? Because we get to the point they tell us how to dress, they tell us how to talk, they tell us what to do, all this different things. So I stood in my closet and this voice came to me and said, you no longer belong here. So I took 40 bags of clothes and donated them.
Wow.
40 bags of clothes. And guess what I did? I went shopping and bought fun clothes, different colors, different things. And I had lost a lot of weight. And I just felt like I was sexy and I was worthy. I had a new attitude. I don't know if that was a crisis, but you know what? It was the right crisis for me because it allowed me to do the work that I love and to help women to come on this journey. So that was my journey.
Oh, that's fabulous. That's so fabulous. I mean, it's just, there's nothing like that I've experienced, and I have a somewhat similar story, but there's nothing that feels as good as coming back to yourself, right?
Yes.
Coming back to yourself, and seeing yourself and saying, we're going to be fine.
Yeah.
This is good, regardless of anything external. It's all good because you're returning to yourself after years, perhaps decades in the quote the world dictating how we must be to fit expectations, the corporate profile and all of those things. And I think I can speak, and I know you can too, that I was an employee for over 20 years, about 24 years, before I stepped out and started my first business, which is a professional services business company. And now that's been 11 years ago. And so I've traveled both of those paths. And it's interesting and so instructive when you take a look in the rearview mirror and you think about how easy it is to get all caught up and jammed up and stressed out because of other people dictating who we should be.
Yeah, we've been told it's a blueprint that is getting really dismantled because now that I'm out, and it's a blessing to get to turn the page in your chapter of your life, right? It's an honor. And I say it is so freeing. And it's not about this lifestyle that you have here on social media. You get to choose that. So you know what? You don't have to have all that stuff. Some of the stuff you just don't want. And I was like, what was wrong with me? I had 2 of everything in the closet. I'm like, this is ridiculous, right? And so I want experiences. That's my main thing right now. I want experiences. And so I help women uncover that, because we've been told this blueprint. I mean, it was embedded in my family. My mom was never, she was a sharecropper, and education was so important. So I was the second one. My brother got his first. I was the second one to get my education, and that was success to them. And I
Yes.
was told to go get a nice, good old government job where they're not going to fire you. My mom did 41 years in government, and I thought that was a death sentence. And so I made a decision
Yes.
that, you know what, I want out, and I'm going
Mm.
to do the things I need to get out. And I used to manifest that. And I would say to myself, this is the last place that I will be working for someone else. I used to walk around and say that, and it came to pass. So it's what you say, is how you see yourself, and it's what you want to do. It makes a big difference. It's a decision.
It is a decision, and for us, I think it's, well, of course, it's much easier once you remove yourself from all of what I call the life sucking darts that are coming our way.
That's so good.
I mean, it just it just literally, when I say life sucking, it just drains the energy. And part of that is it drains our creativity and our curiosity.
Yes.
Because we all have it, but when you're beaten down into a mold, you can't quite get to it. Right?
You're absolutely right. And I had that struggle because I was one of the youngest executives, at this large financial organization, and the good old boys and all of that. And I used to cry inside, and where people thought I should have been grateful, which I was grateful for the opportunity and how my career had accelerated, but I also lost myself. Do you hear me? I actually lost myself. And so I went on a curiosity, a quest to reclaim Tonia.
Yes.
I want to know more about Tonia. And that's why I said your gifts will make room if you take the time to be curious about what is it? What's next for me?
Right. Right. And so what do you see in your work with women professionals that holds them back from turning the page and or taking a look and going on that curiosity quest?
Well, I think it's a couple things. Number one, of course, the almighty mindset. That mindset can cripple you because, again, this has been the blueprint that we were told and sold. This is the American dream. And so that's all we know. And then if we don't do something other than what was scripted to us, then we are a failure or whatever. So that's the first thing, the mindset. Then secondly, I think the support system. I know when I left the workplace, I didn't tell too many people. Because they would have thought I was crazy. What were you doing? You got 9 weeks of vacation, you get a pension, you got all of this stuff. But you know what? I didn't have the peace that I was yearning for. And I was not operating in my gifts. So that was one. And the last one is fear. Fear keep us crippled. And I will tell you, even when you do transition out, you will have a little bit of that fear. But fear in most cases, because they feel like they can't make more money. I was just talking to someone last night that worked for a high profile organization. And this person's like, I got to get out, but I don't believe I can make what I make. They don't believe. And so I do believe that you have to have a belief system, whatever that may be. That is the foundation.
Yes. Well, and here's here's a couple of things that I've learned since I've transitioned from an employee to a business owner and an entrepreneur. And that is, and I'm a huge believer in energy and the power of presence. And once we can believe it, once we take that curiosity quest and we get still in ourselves and we return to ourselves, and it is a process. I mean, it's not going to just say, come back to me, because usually there's years and years of layers of that's, I mean, if you think about, a rudimentary example would be, when we cut ourselves, there's a healing process. And then when that space, like on our skin, if we burn ourselves in the kitchen, it leaves a scar. So that means it's tougher the second time, right? It's a second layer of skin there. And it's interesting because on my left thumb, I have about a half an inch scar below my thumb that I look at that actually I came from being burned by an oven rack. I was taking it out of the oven and it fell on my thumb, but it left a little scar. But that reminds me of my grit and my
Oh, wow.
resilience. And it's like, it's built me up in something that Oprah says, strength. It brings us to be stronger and stronger and tougher, meaning tougher as far as resilience, not toughened as far
Right.
as lack of emotion. And it's hard for being where you are in a corporate workplace, being an employee, to know what the feeling and the drive will be when you kind of cross over and transition to be an entrepreneur, because it's so unfamiliar.
Right. It's definitely very unfamiliar. It's a new relationship with work. And, that's one of the reasons why I wrote this book, before you say I do to entrepreneurship, because I believe it's just like a marriage. And I think it's a different relationship. If you can, I don't know if you're married or not, but I've been married for 25 years. And I just recall when I was dating my husband, first we flirted,
Sure.
you flirt with it, right?
Yeah.
And so some of the ladies out here may be flirting with entrepreneurship, and I kind of like some aspects of it. Then they start dating it, and then they get into a committed relationship, and then they marry it. That's why I said before you say I do, because it's different. It feels different, but it's okay. And I think for those ladies are out there that want the next, we have to begin with purging.
Yes.
We have to purge. We really have to purge. Just like you said, you get cut. It's almost like purging.
Tell us more about that and how you bring that to your.
When I say purge, we have to really get down. And I asked 3 different questions. What do you want? And like you said, when you get still, because we may say, I don't know what I want. I think if you get still enough, you can start. It don't have to be in the context of what we work in. And, you got to be perfect. I don't care what it is. I want to be happy. Okay, let's dig a little bit more. So then we ask the question, how would it make you feel if you did what it is that you want? Right? So you start digging, and that's a hard question. That's why you got to really purge. This is not something you can do right away. And then I asked the last question once we get through all of that. Well, what's in the way? And we know fear comes away. Maybe some finances come away. But there's a strategy to all of that if you want to transition. Right. So, I have women with those questions because we don't get still enough. We are doing, moving, making it happen. But yet we're not happy. And so if you have to get some quiet time with yourself and say, I am worthy. I belong. I deserve.
Yes.
And really, and that builds confidence. I deserve to be happy. I deserve more. I deserve to do the things I desire, regardless if people don't understand. And that's the key.
Yes. Well, that says so much, and it so resonates with me, and I'm sure it resonates with our listeners. And what I have found in the work that we do is it is getting still and getting quiet on a regular basis, which is why new practices are in order, like sitting for 5 minutes and just being still, listening to your own breath. That is a simple step we can all do. We all have phones. We have timers on those phones. You can set 5 minutes, put on your earbuds or whatever, and just get quiet and listen to your breath. And you will find that the more you do that, that you will gain some clarity.
Yes.
Right? Over time, you'll gain some clarity of what you don't want and what is pulling you to what you do want.
And that's a powerful statement when you get quiet. And when I got quiet and start just reflecting and being grateful, because I do believe we all have desires. And it's up to us to activate those desires. And the best way I believe that you can activate that is being quiet, where you can get clarity. Right. And I'm telling you right now, when you get clarity, it's like you just reinvented a new person. I am so clear about what it is that I want. People's like, Tonia, you can't be this happy all the time. Yes, I am. I am. It's not faking. It's real. There's a strategy, but you got to get clear, like you said. And I am unapologetic about my clarity and about my purpose. I'm excited. I just told you this morning, I woke up, I'm just excited. My marriage is better. I can communicate. It really impacts your whole being as a person. I have better relationship. Not that I had a bad relationship, but I have a awesome relationship with my husband. My boys are entrepreneurs. My family, I couldn't ask for it. My spiritual life is awesome, and I can help people, and I love it.
Well, I think I'm right there with you. The getting quiet, the reflecting brings about the gratitude.
Yes.
Brings about, and I know, and I'm a big believer in being present and being aware of the energy that we bring to everything in our lives. We bring it to ourselves, we bring it into the space of others, and we're responsible for that energy. And what I know is that gratitude is one of the highest energetic places, the vibrations that we can be.
Yes.
And so once we start practicing that gratitude, and I actually keep a gratitude journal.
Yes.
Right beside my desk, 3 things I'm so happy and grateful that. Bam, bam, bam.
That's right.
I reflect on that.
Mm-hmm.
And once we get to that place, it slows us down and it helps us gain more clarity. And so that helps us to understand what it is that the doors are opening for us, because they're opening all the time. It's not that they're not there, it's that we just can't see them.
I just think you also have a broader perspective about what is.
Yes.
What is. And so, for example, as a business owner, such as you and I, when opportunities don't come our way, we are okay, because we are already in a still moment. It's like, what is the teachable moment?
Mm-hmm.
And so now, like I tell people, as an entrepreneur, you've been taught to, get on the hustle and grind. I do grace over grind.
Mm-hmm.
Grace over grace over grind. And I'm telling you right now, these next years ahead of me are going to be my best years, because I've learned a little bit, and it is well with my soul. That's what I say.
Oh my goodness, the girl is after my heart. It is well with my soul, my favorite song of all time.
Yes, it is well with my soul. And I had to come to that place in my life. But it's an honor to be able to say, I get to turn the page in my chapter. Do you know how many women are out there are stuck on the same chapter, same pages, and we get to change the whole chapter?
Yes.
And I'm excited, and I'm on the fire for helping women understanding what their purpose is. And I believe in my heart that your gift will make room for you.
Yes.
And oftentimes we need to be hooked up with the right people that can push us.
Yes.
But sometimes we have to be pulled out of our situation to be pushed into our destiny.
Ooh. Preach.
On a good time with this.
Yeah. But it's so powerful, because I can feel our synchronicity that we both are so passionate, because we are aligned with our purpose, because we have that grace and that clarity, because we have gotten still and reflected, and we are grateful. And when you bring that into your everyday life, it is so incredibly powerful that you can't help to not want to share it and have everybody feel that way.
It's an overflow. It is possible, and I'm going to say this here. There has been times in my career where it really looked like I had it going on, and I got almost to the brink of depression. I had gained a lot of weight. I mean, I'm going to keep it real. I was to a size 14 and heading south to the 16, right? And I had nothing wrong with that, okay? However, I just was not a happy person, because I knew it was more to Tonia than what was showing up at the work. So I decided to change that and show up for my own life, right? And I tell you, when I came out of the workplace, I dropped significant weight. Not that I was doing it on purpose. It's just my
Right.
eating habits and working out. I got down to a size 10, right?
Goodness,
And
yes.
so I'm just as fine as wine right now, right?
That could be a whole separate discussion, my friend.
I'm just fine as wine. And so I told my husband, he said, "Oh, babe, you looking really good." I said, "I am not carrying the baggage that I carried before. I have unloaded."
Yes, that's right. Well, let's talk a moment about fear, because it is real.
Yes, it is.
And so I've been working with women professionals since a long time, over 25 years. And these are women who have multiple alphabet letters after their names. These are women who have been plotting along to try to, pursue their professional journey as they see it at the time. And when they finally reach that, that mountaintop of having finished their education and going through and getting certified, whatever, credentialed through whether it's a bar exam or a medical exam, whatever, then they've reached that mountaintop. And then they start in the workplace, and I've seen for a couple of years, they're just trying to get their sea legs and get some orientation, and then it kind of kicks in that this is not what they probably signed up for.
Right.
Being in a male-dominated profession, oftentimes, most of the time, and their voices are not as welcome as they were when they were the smartest person in the classroom.
Right.
That because of their gender, they're not being recognized for their unique brilliance as their male counterparts are. They're not receiving the assignments.
Absolutely. And I've seen that in my whole career. And I worked in the good old boy system. And that fear, let me tell you what I believe fear stems from. Really unknown, I think.
Yes. Yep.
The lack of confidence, the judgment and the criticism that you may get.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest one for me is being in control. See, when you start you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and we don't want that. It's just too easy just to get comfortable. And then for me, I was one of these not control freaks, but I was one of these people I can control because I can control my skills, right? I got all the credentials and I can control that. But the minute I step out to the unknown territory, that's when fear kicks in.
Yes, there's so much to unpack here, and I love being comfortable with the uncomfortable. And tell us a little bit more about how you address that with your clients and how you help them navigate through that.
Well, and I know that fear is the biggest piece while we get stuck.
Yes.
And so when I talk to my clients and work with clients, there's a strategy before you even consider leaving or transitioning. I have to know the level where you at from the fear and what is it that you want. So we uncover all that, what it is that you want, your why. And then we definitely work a lot on the mindset piece of it. I mean, I spent about a couple of weeks on that mindset because it's hard. Mm-hmm. But I think the fear piece is, helping them understand to put pieces in place, because you can't do life by yourself. You can't do business by yourself. Right. Now, is fear going to come up sometime when you go to new levels? Of course, we have new devils, but when you go to new levels, you're going to have a different level of fear. Mm-hmm. But there is a resource that you can combat that. You need accountability partners or coaches, or a system that will help you navigate that, because it's not that you get away from it. It's all about navigating the fear piece of it. And one of the things I would say with fear as well, when ones want to transition or do something totally different, is the money aspect, because they don't believe they can make the same amount of money. And so I teach them about their money story. Their backstory on money, because it doesn't take a whole lot if you do the right things, know?
Right.
So I take all of your insecurities and we turn them around for you. And so it helps you combat the fear. And I want to say this and say it loud and clear. We always have some level of fear, but we don't want to have the fear to keep us from not doing anything.
Yes.
And so what I tell people, one of the things we talk about is real talk. I used to do this thing called caught between a job and a dream. And we dissect that. What is the job and what is the dream? And we put it on a meter.
Right.
So I do I'm very exercising. I'm real. I do real talk. I want to push you to your destiny, but I got to deal with those issues like fear. And I let you know that it's human. I have them. Yeah. When I get on the stage and speak, I have them. But there are ways to overcome those things. But we got to renew our mind as well, too. And that's why the mindset is so important. And I think when you believe that you're worthy, you show up differently.
Yes. Well, and that comes from a lot of these limiting beliefs.
Yes, ma'am. Limited belief is the biggest piece. And I do a lot of exercise around limiting belief because we have to really break that down. We can't get to where you want to be until we handle the limited belief, how you see yourself, what has been said, what's your childhood story. We all have those little voices telling us we're not worthy. So a lot of us go get a lot of degrees and certification for validation. Right. Let me help you validate yourself. Let's validate yourself.
Exactly. And there's no way around that.
Right.
We can live a lifetime, and I've seen and worked with women from 25 to 75.
Yes.
And it just breaks my heart. And this is one of the reasons that I, formed Changemakers, but it is to help women, professionals, to navigate through the fear. And I want to talk more about the fear and clear those limiting beliefs. But that requires courage.
Absolutely.
Right? So we have to summon the courage.
It really does, and you got to be okay.
And the way that we can summon that courage is what you said, in the support system with the accountability partners in I call them our tribe. Our tribe, we have in Changemakers, we have what we call tribe treats, not retreats, but tribe treats, where we gather with like-minded women, so we can talk through these things and we can affirm one another and we can support one another, because that's how we function and thrive the best.
I can give an example. When I first transitioned out of the workforce, I was so scared. I had fear. I knew I wanted something new and different. It's one thing to know it, and then you jump out there, right? And so I did come out, and I had a support system. My husband, I remember him saying, "It's time to go. You stayed too long," right? That confident voice. So that's number one, support system. But what really messed me up was the mindset. My mind, I was just thinking like an employee, and that tripped me up. And then I had to go hire me a coach.
Yes.
Because I was stuck. Do you hear me? Because I was hanging around the same employees, and that was not what I had to do a shift in my whole life. Not that I didn't love the people that I work with, but I needed to rechange everything. And so I started hanging with like-minded people, and it softened that blow of, and I began to get more confidence. I began to like it. I'm like, okay, this is great. This is a new relationship. I was curious about it. I was open about it. And so time after time, the fear goes down, and it not goes away, but it does minimize tremendously when you do those things. But you got to be willing to do it. Like you said, courage. And I knew I was not coming back. So I knew that I had to do something different. And if it hurt, if it was change, I had to do it. And I was okay with that. And so courage was the most important step that I needed to take, because I was caught between a job and a dream.
Right. Well, and also, when you're caught, you have to understand, just like any new decision that we make in our lives, to change companies, to change where we live, who we marry, there's always that, what I have on my vision board, everything we want is on the other side of fear. So you have to have the faith,
right,
to overcome the fear, and taking that first step. That's all. First step.
And then it can be baby steps. They don't have to be big steps. You just got to keep moving. And so you mentioned about a vision board. And I went to a believing board party. I
Okay.
believe, because the vision board is great, goals, but what do I believe, honey? What do I believe?
Absolutely, absolutely. And we have to look at that and be purposeful
Yes,
every single day.
intentional.
Intentional, absolutely intentional.
Absolutely. And I think you have to talk to yourself. I think you have to talk to yourself. Like this morning, I got up and said, "Hello, Tonya. This is going to be a wonderful day." And I know we have to get to that point, and I get that, because some of us don't have the support. Some of us are still, we just don't know, and I get that. And my goal, in life, to help women get to the point where they can really experience, not talk about it, truly experience and live out the purpose of their life, the life they crave. That's my whole purpose. And
Hmm.
some people, we have to navigate a little different, but we deal with the things that keeps us bound, if you will.
Yes, well, anything that we desire can we can have. I mean, so if we believe it, we'll see it, right?
That's
I
why
mean,
imagination and Think and Grow Rich book is so powerful.
yeah,
But it
it
does
is.
start with a desire.
And you have to be willing to take the journey of discovering what that desire is after all of those years of getting all that gunk of all the external fabrications that are impressed upon us.
And then there are some women that may not want to go into entrepreneur. They just want something different, totally different than what um, they have went to school for, and they are stuck because of what somebody else is going to say. Like, for example, I got a girlfriend, she played piano all of her life since she was 5 years old, right? And so her mom wanted her to go to school to be an attorney. So she went to school and she hated it, every ounce of it.
Mm,
And so she did it for a couple of years. She's like, I just hate it. I hate getting up. And she decided to bet on herself. And
mm.
so she went to the music route and she played for Whitney Houston. Had she not betted on herself, I don't know where she would be. But everybody thought she was crazy. Why would you give up a job that's, whatever. It's because it was for them to tout. It was
Right.
for them. And so we worked, together, and she decided to do something for her, and she is so at peace.
There's nothing like it.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing, I mean, we are like evangelists for purpose. We all are here for a purpose, and likely it's not just to make other people very wealthy, right?
Right. Absolutely.
From a material perspective. And so I want us to move on, but I just want to call it out by name what I've seen, and you can certainly add to this as far as fear. Because it can absolutely be paralyzing. That as women, socially and the way that we're conditioned, fear can show up oftentimes as fear of perfection.
Yes.
Of thinking that we have to be perfect, because that's what society reflects to us in all of our media. That all this perfection, the fear of failure.
Mm-hmm.
Which is so misunderstood. To me, there is no failure. It's just life, showing you to go in a little bit of a different direction after you learn the lessons of what didn't work. And what other people say, as you said, the fear of rejection.
Yes.
That's a huge one. And then something that really is very unique to women, and that is the disease to please.
That's absolutely right. I mean, when you think about that, because I fell into perfection.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first came out, I couldn't move if it was not done correctly.
Mm.
And my husband used to always say, done is better than perfect.
That's right.
And I
That's right.
couldn't get it. And it took me a year, and I couldn't get it. And when I grabbed a hold of that, I had some of the best years of my life.
Yes.
Financially, connection wise, everything. So you're right. Fear perfection is a big one. We hear all this stuff about failure. It's good to fail forward and whatever. We have to look at failure differently.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I look at failure as a teachable moment. No one gets up in the morning and says, oh, I'm going to fail.
Right.
But it's all about that perspective of failure.
Exactly. So that's just how, that comes back to mindset.
Yeah.
So, well, this is wonderful. There's a couple of more questions in areas that I want to cover. So I'm just curious, Tonia, if you could give your younger self one piece of professional advice, what would that be?
I would say for me is always live a life of being curious and always being open.
Yeah. That curiosity quest.
I look at my boys right now. They are fearless. They're millennials and Gen Z, and they are open to new ideas, everything. And if I had been, because I lived somebody else's life, we were told. So if I could be curious and be open, those are the two things I would have told myself. I think I would have been further along.
Yeah. Well, but then of course we have our life journey.
That's right. That's right.
And we are where we need to be.
And it's necessary.
And we've learned a lot, right?
That's
I mean, this is our unique journey. Are you familiar with the poem by Derek Walcott about return to self?
No, I'm not.
Would you mind if I shared it with our listeners? So this, I am a fan of Oprah Winfrey and the work that she does in our world. And this came from her that she shared. The time will come when, with elation, you will greet yourself arriving at your own door, in your own mirror, and each will smile at the other's welcome and say, "Sit here, eat." You will love again the stranger who was yourself. Give wine, give bread, give back your heart to itself, to the stranger who has loved you all your life, whom you ignored for another, who knows you by heart.
Oh.
Is that not beautiful?
What's the name of that person?
His name is
Yes,
Derek.
who is this person?
His name is Derek, Derek Walcott, Walcott.
That is so beautiful, and we need to hear that.
I have this poem sitting right in front of my laptop
I'm gonna have to get that, and I think I have to get a mirror and say that to myself so I can see myself.
Isn't that? I mean, it's so powerful, and it cuts to the core of the work that we are all called to do, and that is to return to ourselves.
I love it. I love that.
So this is just so much soul food for our listeners, and I can't tell you how much I've been touched and moved, Tonia, by our time together today.
I absolutely enjoyed it. This is a divine connection. You hear me? Divine connection. And I think that's what we all are longing for, because we just really can't do life, business by ourselves.
Not at all. Not at all. And I mean, it is that surrounding of the syncretic energy. But I want to give the benefit to our listeners to be able to connect with you, to get more of your good juice and your energy and your positivity. So please share with us, if you would, the best way to connect with you, Tonia.
You definitely can connect with me on LinkedIn, and my spelling of my name is Tonia, Tonia, and my last name is Morris, Morris. That's me on LinkedIn. You can learn a lot about what I'm doing. I post a lot. But you also can experience me to learn a little bit more about Transition Enterprises. It's transition-enterprises.com. And you will learn about a lot of my coaching programs. I am excited about an event that's coming up in March the 21st here in Atlanta. And I kicked it off because it's Women's Month. And this is a decade for you to understand what it is that you want. And it's a half a day on a Saturday. And my goal is to give you this energy that I have. And I'm going to also give you some strategies, some missteps. It's a safe room where we're going to have a conversation with women just like you guys. And we're going to talk about what's next and how do we get to our next. So I'm excited about that.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. And so we will definitely put that link on the podcast of the event coming up so that we can share that with as many people as possible.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again, listeners, for another episode of our Changemakers podcast. And until next time, be the change that you want to see.